Fabulous. Excellent. Love troubleshooting. So if you're not familiar with the Printing Museum, we have been located in Houston, Texas for 40 years, but we just moved location. We're now in Midtown of Houston, and we're getting all set up in our new building. And we like to say it's a place for all types because we are very corny. We have a bunch of those one-liners, so be prepared. But if you're not familiar with us, we have a really cool setup in our museum where we're half a permanent collection. So what you would expect from a museum, we have exhibits that chronicle the whole, history of printing, starting with actually the invention of writing, through to the Gutenberg press in the 1450s, through to various inventions and metal type, all the way through to like a Xerox machine and 3D printing. And so we do a nice little survey. We have a variety of beautiful artifacts and newspapers and all kinds of things relating to printing history and information technology. And so we have that normal setup that you would expect from a museum. But we also have a studio side where we host workshops in bookbinding and letterpress printing and paper making and all kinds of different topics that people can come in and take classes in. And we also operate for the active artist community, in that we have artists in residence who are actively creating art, and they get to work with us, as well as people who are just interested in learning more. So we have things that we offer both for the actual, artists as a profession, as well as people just interested in learning more about these really cool hands-on crafts. And so it's kind of cool. We have both sides. And as a docent, you would get the opportunity to see both sides and participate in some of our workshops. And it's always really fun to see the active artist community in a museum setting, and that we're, talking about printing and this creation of information technology in the current time, as well as throughout history. So it's a bit of both, which is a really nice thing about this museum. And then what is a docent? If you're not familiar with a docent program, generally they wear a lot of hats. And so you would be a bit of an educator. You'd be talking, you're part of the public face of our museum. So you'd be talking with the patrons coming in the museum, including school groups and individuals and senior citizen groups, those kinds of visitors. You would be a guide to the museum side, and among many other things here, a conversationalist, and then you kind of sharing your take on the museum, as well as operating some of our presses and getting to do some hands-on things, as well as the information side. So I'll talk a bit about that in a sec. But the main part of your job as a docent at the Printing Museum is to help with our guided tours. And so you would get to learn a lot about our museum side and be able to give tours to the general public. And so if you were interested in being a docent, we'll talk more about the details later, but I just wanted to give you a sense of our general tour schedule. Our museum is closed on Mondays and Sundays, and then we're open for pre-scheduled appointments on Tuesday, Wednesday, and half of Thursday. And then we're just open to general walk-ins on the second half of Thursday and Friday and Saturday. So basically, this means that we always know a tour is coming. So people can book tours in advance on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then we're going to have like a set time on Friday and Saturday where guided tours occur. So for instance, if someone walked in on Friday and wanted a guided tour, then they know they have like the 1 o'clock option. And so then we know that all of our tours will be staffed. So basically, we know a tour is coming, a guided tour is coming, and then we can plan in accordance to your schedules and my schedules, and make a plan so that everything is covered, all the shifts are covered. And so as I said, we talk about this more later if you're interested to get a sense of your availability. But basically, we'd be giving tours Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at different points. And so the docent training plan, you're already doing the first step, which is attending an information session just to kind of get a sense of what our docent program is. And then the next part will be our first official meeting, which would be next Tuesday night, also via Zoom. From 6:15 to 8 o'clock at night. And this is just another bit of an intro, a bit more of an in-depth intro, and a chance for everyone to meet our new docents, our current docents. And I'd be giving about a 45-minute virtual tour just to get a sense of all the details of our museum, as well as talking about what specific times tours would be and getting a sense of when you're available. So that would be what our first meeting is, which would be via Zoom. And then all the subsequent meetings would be at the museum itself, because obviously we got to learn about all the wonderful things and actually be in the space. And so I haven't scheduled those yet because I wanted to see what times you all were available and what works best for you. So that would be something we would discuss on the 28th is, Tuesday evenings, if that works for the majority of the people or not. But I do anticipate that not one night will not work for everyone, I'm sure. And so then I'll probably be doing some separate sessions to accommodate to make sure everyone gets the chance to learn. And so I anticipate that being about 4 sessions or so at the museum, just to kind of get a sense going, room from room, having a chance to let the information soak in and everything. So I imagine that will take place over like the month of April. And then depending on how comfortable you all feel, then in early May, late May, sometime and then you would be attending a tour that I'm giving. So you can kind of see how that operates in the real world, so to speak. And then at some point, whenever you're ready, you would give me a tour and then we could just talk about, any parts you might want to finesse a bit. And then at that point, you would be ready to give tours of your own. And then we'd have your pre-scheduled times where we know that work for you. And that would be how we'd go from there. And so that's about how the training process would go. If you have questions about this, again, we'll talk at the end. Just wanted to give a little overview of the information session, since you don't have to know any information in advance. It's always wonderful if you bring your own particular take to it. So if someone's particularly interested in bookbinding or the publishing side, or just wants to find something new they really like about the museum, we really encourage you to take the things that you find interesting and customize your tour to really share that. But we will give you all the tools you need to learn about the museum and figure out what you're most interested in. So then the rewards of the docent program is you get to be part of a really cool community. As I said, we have active artists in the community, as well as business individuals running the museum and history and museum people like myself. So it's a really wonderful mix of people. And then we get a really wonderful mix of people who attend the museum, because we are kind of we cross a lot of departments, in that we talk about technology and we talk about art, and we talk about history and we talk about literature. And so there's something for everyone, to quote a very overused phrase. There's something for everyone. It's a place for all types. And so it's kind of really fun. The people that we get who attend the museum really get a lot out of it. So you get to be part of that community. And then you get to see behind the scenes of a museum and learn about these really cool collections, which include actually learning how to operate presses. So we have a replica Gutenberg press, which was the original press from the 1450s, and you would learn how to operate that if you wish to be part of your tour, along with a Columbian press, which is from after the Industrial Revolution. And similarly, we print the Declaration of Independence on that. And so you would get training to be able to do that as part of your tours, as well as we also offer special access to events and programs for our docents. Since you give so much to our museum, we give the chance to attend workshops in bookbinding or paper making that we normally charge for. We have a different program for our docents. So you get that, as well as special access to study materials, and of course, a individual membership for the museum. So you can attend it whenever you wish. And so the general responsibilities is that you sign up for a schedule, so we know when you're available to show up for guided tours, which in general would be about an hour. By the way, the tours are an hour to an hour and a half. And then we generally ask for a minimum 1 year commitment, but that's generally not feasible for all of our docents, because some of them, might be more available in the summer or something to that effect. So that's perfectly fine as long as you, talk to me. We'll create your own personal arrangement. We just ask for, a certain amount of commitment, since it does take a little bit to train. We want to make sure it's worth your time and our time to go through that process. But as I said, generally a minimum of a year, but I have many people this time who are just planning to do it for the summer, or 3 months, or something to that effect. So that we can work with you on. Just talk to me about it and that will be fine. And then I'll be setting up a monthly meeting. So that will be kind of a refresher of going over any changes that we're going to make to the tours or any problems that may have come up. But it will also be a bit of fun training, and that we'll do generally some kind of activity workshop event as well. So for instance, we do gyutaku fish printing, where we print with rubber relief molds of fish. And so you would get to learn how to do that and add that to your resume. Or we do screen printing or some other kind of event. So these set monthly meetings, as well as being, a little bit of business, will also have some fun aspect to it as well. And so your attendance in that would be encouraged, required. And then I would just generally ask that you respond to emails so that everyone stays up to date, and that when we do another new docent training session, it might involve you guys helping out with, welcoming the new docents or something to that effect as well, that you're available to help with that. So those are our general responsibilities. So then the next steps, if you end up finding this interesting, we have an application form, which is very simple. It's basically just contact information that we ask that you fill out. And then I will send you the details for our first meeting and things like that at that point. And as I said, the first official training session begins on the 28th, next Tuesday. And you would attend that, and we go from there on the training, the next few steps. And then, so I'm the community engagement coordinator, as I mentioned, so I oversee the interns and the volunteers. So if you have any questions about the docent program, feel free to reach out to me directly. You have my email address here, as well as my direct phone number. So if you have any questions or want to go over things in depth, either, now or later, you have my information to, talk to me about it. And so with that, I'm going to end the recording, and we can have a little question answer session if there's anything that you wish to go over. Let me stop.